meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court to order. I'm going to ask Magistrate Scott Poston if he would lead us in prayer, and after that we'll have the pledge to the flag.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you, Lord, for this day and the many blessings that you have given us in life. Father, we just pray that you'll be with us as we conduct this meeting today. Father, as always, we just pray that you'll be with our law enforcement, our first responders, and our military, both here and abroad. Father, once again, we just ask that you'll be with us today. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, if y'all picked up an agenda sheet as you come in, you see we've got a pretty healthy agenda today, so we're going to try to move along as quickly as possible. We'll start. We've got some gifts with us today, and they're challenging me here this morning with this name pronunciation. We'll see. She just told me, so hopefully I'll get it right. But with Kids on the Block, we have Miss Amanda Guerra and Missy Carini. Did I get those correct? You ladies are welcome to come up and share with us some things about Kids on the Block here. Thank y'all for being with us today.
First of all, thank you for having us. We come into the schools in Simpson County and do our programs in your 3 elementaries, which we love doing. And we also are happily supported by our German American Bank, presents our Shamrock Sprint. And with the funding from that, we only are able to do about 6 programs. And we would like to do more. But we don't have the funding in Simpson County, so we're kind of asking if there's any way to get funds to provide 6 more programs. We'd like to be able to do 12 in this county for your 3 schools. With that said, we know we have a program fee of $450, the mileage we would be paying to come down. At the same time, what we're really interested in doing is getting our child abuse programs into your schools more. We've had 15 different topics that we cover, everything from problem solving and mental health to child abuse prevention, tobacco and vaping prevention, and so we cover a lot of topics in your pamphlets, I think. But we would really like to provide more of our child abuse programs, which is why we're looking for some funding. One of the reasons is we were just in Simpson Elementary and received, if you look on the sheet, an email from the school counselor there that said, just wanted to reach out to let you know, although it's been a while, we've had another child come forward reporting inappropriate touching, and he mentioned the KOB program when he reported it to me. Thanks again for all you did. And so we know it's needed.
And there were 2 other kids that came forward earlier, pretty much after the program. So that was 3 kids just at that one school that we did the child abuse programs. That we know of. There could have been more, but we don't always know everything that happens after the school.
Yeah, they're not always disclosed to us, and we do a lot of follow-up with the schools when we've gone in and done programs, but Simpson Elementary is the only one we've done child abuse in the last year or so, and so with only 6 programs, there's lots of other things they would like us to come in and do, and so that's kind of why we're here today.
And does everybody know what Kids on the Block is? For those of you who don't, we go into schools. We travel all over Kentucky and we bring our programs. This is just one of our puppets. We have about 30 different characters that we use, and we use these to do educational programs. We dress in all black. We have a black screen behind us. So the puppets come to life, and the kids see our puppets as kids just like them. So they feel more comfortable talking to the puppets about maybe something, because we have question and answer parts in our program where the kids get to ask the puppets questions, or the puppets might ask the kids questions about things that they've learned. So kids feel like, oh, that's another little kid just like me. I feel more comfortable and safe talking to that kid than I do a grown-up, because the grown-up is the person that's hurt me. But the same thing, because a lot of our puppets, they have a disability, or they've maybe been abused, and so they tell their story about what happened to them and how they got help. And so then that kind of opens the gates for kids to say, oh, well, maybe, that happened to me, or, if it didn't happen to me, my friend told me that it happened, or maybe it didn't happen to them at all, and it prevents something from happening in the future, because we teach kids to speak up, and if they don't feel comfortable, it's okay to get out of that situation. So, our goal would be that it would be preventative, but sometimes, just like, what you see from the counselor there, sometimes it catches things that's already happened, and, it keeps it from happening in the future, because they tell and they don't have to live with the person who's hurting them anymore. So, just a little bit about the programs.
So do you do programs with the puppets other than child abuse? Do y'all like drug awareness?
Yes, yes.
So,
Yeah, in that brochure, I think it's down on the right-hand corner, it's a little circle thing, or it might be that.
Let me just.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a cyberbullying program, that's a newer one that we've developed. We've got child abuse prevention, we've got bullying programs. We have a newer vaping and tobacco program that we've just done, and one that has really taken off since COVID is our mental health program. We've got problem solving, accepting differences, lots of different topics that the school can choose from.
And so the cost of each program is $450. To do 6 additional, essentially, is $2,700.
Correct.
Yeah.
And all 6 of those programs, if you had the funding for it, would all be done here in Simpson County?
Yes, in these 3 schools, in Franklin Elementary, Simpson Elementary, and Lincoln Elementary. Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're coming to you, because we'd like to be in your schools doing free workout.
Okay.
Do you do any programs? I mean, we've had a lot of discussion over school resource officers and violence in schools. Do you do any programs that address that?
The violence in schools?
Yes.
So that's an interesting topic. We have been also asked about that recently in the last couple of years or so. The concept is that we haven't figured out a way to write a script that meets the needs of all schools, because everybody's school, everybody's county, we're all over the state, has a everything's similar, but it's not the same. And so we're very hesitant about the things that we put into the script, because we don't want it to be the wrong information for that school.
I understand.
Does that make any sense? That
Yes.
Because who they go to, or how they hide, or how they close, lock their doors, or any of that kind of stuff is very school specific, and that's where we're finding a problem with writing. With child abuse, with cyberbullying, with tobacco and vaping prevention, all of those things are global. We can say global things that it doesn't really matter where you are in the state, and they're going to be the same. But the violence one is throwing us for a big loop. But we have been discussing it, that our program committee has been racking their brains on how to go about it, and we just haven't found that right answer, because we don't want to give information that then doesn't match.
Right.
And so-
I was just thinking, maybe some of them, don't bring a gun to school. If you know somebody that bought one,
Our other thing is that there is this, so I happen to be a retired art teacher. So I was in middle school in Warren County for 23 and a half years. And so I've seen a lot in that period of time, and a lot of our school shootings, and, the variety that we've seen in Kentucky in general. And during that period of time, every year was different on how we presented it to students. Because on the one hand, you're afraid if you bring it up, it will give them ideas. And on the other hand, if you don't bring it up, they won't know what to do. You see, and there's that fine line, and I don't think anybody in this country has figured out where to lie on that fine line. I think it's a major issue, but it has been a big discussion with us this year and trying to figure out a way to do it.
Okay.
I will let our executive director know that it was brought up yet again. So.
Well, I mean, it's a
No,
pretty hot
it
topic.
is. And again, do you want to say to a kindergartner, even though your parents go hunting and they're safe and whatever, that gun can't come to school, and them understand why not when their parents are, all about it. It's just a fine line. I mean, I personally don't like guns. I don't have them in my homes. I never let my kids around them. People's houses that they went to that I knew had, I wouldn't let them go. Their friends had to come to our house because I had a fear. Now, I'm knowledgeable, but I still have a fear. I don't like them. But that's not our community or our state to begin with. You know what I mean? So it's a very fun one.
I'm going to ask a two-part question. The second part may be very difficult, so just bear with me a minute. You said you do a program on acceptance. Okay, so here's my question, and I'm just trying to understand for my own understanding and knowledge. When you do the program on acceptance, is it more geared toward there are people who are different and we should accept them for who they are and what they are, or is it somewhat politically driven to push a kid toward a particular?
Yeah, so our Accepting Differences programs, we have lots of different puppets that have disabilities. So it's more on accepting the person, like one of our puppets is blind, another one's in a wheelchair, another one has cerebral palsy, another one has spina bifida. So it's more toward, disability awareness than it is anything, political. And, all of our characters, like we have one that's from Vietnam, we've got one, she's African American. So it's more on like, disability and, race.
But not really like sexual or gender identity sort of thing.
We don't talk
Okay.
about that at all.
All right, I'm just want to know.
It's an excellent question in this day and age. The other thing I'll tell you is, one of the questions with our child abuse prevention program has always been, how do you discuss child sexual abuse? And we do, except that we don't use those terms, and we're very, the wording is...
We call it inappropriate touching, and that's if a grown-up touches a kid on a private place where their bathing suit covers. So, a kid knows what they cover when they're in their swimsuit, so they know that is their private place.
And so we're very cognizant of those kinds of issues. Kids on the Block originally started by two women who had special needs kids. And they had seen a program, a puppet show, that addressed those special needs. And they brought it back to Baltimore. And when they did, the majority of what they did, especially at the beginning, was about their Accepting Differences program. So autism, spina bifida, even learning disabilities, those types of things. And then it has grown to something significantly more than that at this point. So,
Well, and obviously where we're at, we've already been through our budget planning for for fiscal year 23-24. We've had first reading of that budget, so obviously we do not have any funding appropriated into that budget. That's not to say that we could not fund something, it'll just be some discussion. So my question would be, if we have that discussion and we decide, hey, we do want to fund or help fund to get 6 more of these programs into our schools, would we just contact?
yes, you have my card.
So you're the one to contact?
Yes,
Okay.
Have y'all contacted the Board of Education about help funding part of it too? Or are you just getting the money just from the German American or who else?
So one of we do fundraisers as well as other grants in order to support doing our programs. And so for Simpson County, we do the major fundraiser of the RUC, and that gives us the money because the school boards don't have it. Take that with a grain of salt, but the reality is that the schools themselves don't have it. And so this is our way of being able to contribute, and so they are very supportive of our programs in general, just coming, as you can see from the long list of what we've done in the last
Yeah, since 2020.
20, so the last few years.
Okay.
And so we are well aware that if we had more funding, then we take more programs. So we definitely know that. So the school board supports us in that sense, but we do the races in order for them not to have to put the funding in that, so, which is what we're coming to other places and looking for it in bigger budgets, and, hopefully bigger opportunities to do that.
Okay.
All right, well, we will definitely have the conversation and the discussion, and I can't make a promise to you, but we'll try to get something worked out.
And again, I knew that we were past the budget allocations, but we still wanted to get in, and we wanted to make sure you guys knew what we were doing in your schools and what we would like to do more of. And if it doesn't happen for this fiscal year, we understand, but that doesn't mean we won't be on the table for another.
Right. One last question, and this may go back to the counselor too. Do we have any idea, like here in Simpson County, how many child abuse cases are reported annually?
That's something we can definitely find out.
I do not know the answer, but I will research it when I get back.
Yeah.
No.
I will definitely research.
I know you have Pam's email.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I don't know, but she can forward to me. If you get that information, would you send it so we can have that?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And then if you see some other program, you guys know more about what's going on in your county than we do as a whole. And so if you know that there's some other program, like as we said, mental health's been a big push because, coming through COVID and trying to be on the other side and our kids being okay. But if you see something else on our list that you think it would be better funded, we're open to any programs. We're choosing to bring you the concept of the child abuse prevention because we see it as a need, but we see it as a need across the state, not just
Right.
in Simpson County. The schools have always gotten to choose what programs they wanted. And so, again, we could always leave the sixes. They get to choose what they think is best for their individual schools. But again, you guys know what's going on in the overall. And so if you see that there's a bigger need for something else, we're happy
Okay.
to think about that as well. So.
All right, I appreciate y'all coming and sharing with us this
Thank you
morning.
for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, if you reviewed the minutes of our May 16th regular court meeting, I need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Gentlemen, Michelle Estes handed each of you a resubmitted soil conservation fiscal year 23-24 budget to reflect what is been appropriated in our fiscal year budget. We need a motion and a second to acknowledge that we've received it.
Judge, it needs to be approved. This is in you all's budget, and if you all don't approve it, we don't open our doors on July 1. And when we were here before, Chad also presented our plan of work. That also needs to be approved. It can't just be acknowledged.
The fiscal court approves your plan of work, not your board?
The board does, but you all also have to, per statute and
that
Division of
statutory?
Conservation, you all have always had to approve it.
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay. All right.
So moved.
So can we got a motion here, I guess, both to approve this resubmitted budget and plan of work?
If we can do both of them.
Can we do both in one motion?
Two.
Okay.
I'll do the budget.
All right, we got a motion by Marty to approve the soil conservation budget. Got a second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Now we'll need a motion to approve their plan of work. Got a motion by Jeffrey?
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. There you go.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
You all have a great day.
All right, next is to approve an ambulance board appointment. Hunter Bowen is resigning effective June 30th of 2023. So the recommendation is to approve Brandon Duffer to fill Hunter's unexpired term through 12/31/2023.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, if you're calling our last meeting, we had first reading of this ordinance. We now need to have a motion and a second to approve the second reading and passage of ordinance number 140.04, authorizing the interlocal agreement for the school resource officer program.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Scott. Pam, on the ordinances, we do the roll call.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burr,
No.
Myron Thurman,
No.
Mason Barnes,
Yes. All right, next is, the state legislature enacted a pause on city annexation that required some steps to happen. And the only way to avoid those steps are for the county to readily agree to allow the city to annex. And one of these situations has arisen here where Precision Power has purchased a lot at the very end. I guess that was the way you're going in. That would be at the very north end of the Henderson Industrial Park. And then the Industrial Authority acquired some land just to the north of that. And Precision Power bought one tract that is adjoining their property that they purchased in the park. And they want it to be all one piece of lot and to have utility services and so on for it. So they've requested that the city annex it. So the city has sent that information over to ask if we would allow that annexation in less than that 45-day period.
So moved, Mason.
All right, so we got a motion by Myron to allow the city annexation of this parcel of land for Precision Power.
Second.
Second by Marty. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, the next item is, gentlemen, we've discussed the change in the occupational tax split. So we have to amend that agreement, and I think this agreement's been amended now. This makes maybe the third amendment to this agreement, something of that nature.
At least two.
Yeah. So, at any rate, all this basically says, as Marty has pointed out numerous times, people have asked, this is no increase in occupational tax. This is just a change in the split between the county and the industrial authority, where previously on occupational tax receipts, the industrial authority would get 80% of them in the industrial park. The county would only retain 20%. This split will work to where the industrial authority will now only gather 70% and the county will get to retain 30%. Do we need to do one there's two different, so we'll have to have two motions here.
I'll do the motion, I may move for the one in the east.
I second it.
All right, so for the east parks, we have a motion by Marty and a second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? And part of that motion for this one and the next would be to authorize the county judge to sign those agreements.
Yeah.
Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We now need one for the North Industrial Park, a motion to do the same.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Scott, a second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, so we'll get that signed and we'll get it to the industrial authority for their board meeting here in June and have the chairman sign that.
And they already know they did take out
Do what?
I said, and they already know this coming.
Yes, I had that discussion in a previous board meeting with them, and they understand and acknowledge, and we'll just need the signature of the board chairman on it to make it official. And that will begin, Nicole, it's set to begin July 1 of this year, so starting with this fiscal year, this next fiscal year. Next is, if you had an opportunity to review this information about the House Bill 1 Jail Arraignment Equipment Grant Resolution. It's resolution number 2023-0606 jail. We need a motion and a second to authorize entering into that resolution and authorize the county judge to sign it. And this will be to be eligible for grant monies up to $36,595 for this jail arraignment equipment.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Scott. Any question or discussion?
What kind of equipment is it?
I'll let Brent talk. I was just going to,
I just need a brief. You know, I didn't know what kind of equipment it was.
It basically is a
To the mic.
secure network market.
Yeah.
Market is basically a secure network that the AOC has put forward for doing arraignments for local courts that want to use it, and also for courts in other jurisdictions like we're currently using for Zoom. But it gives a little bit more option for the attorneys to be able to go into breakout rooms and talk privately with their clients without the judge here and whatnot.
So could this cut down on transport from like, if you got an inmate that needed to be in court, say in whatever county away from here, could they do arraignment?
That's currently what we've been doing on Zoom. We've been trying to take as much of that off.
And that way you would-
In counties that will participate, and it's up to the county that's there to participate, and knows it will participate with our sheriff, so he doesn't have to transport it. We will participate with those counties, so their sheriff doesn't have to.
what we've been doing since the pandemic, Marty, is we have been trying to, at least the arraignments, do those by remote, and we do by Zoom, and some counties have been very cooperative. We deal with Barron County, Allen County, sometimes with Logan. We've even gotten, we've had Hardin County. The issue is, I think this will be for our jail, it's a big time saver. Also, it's more secure, and it's just, it's a good idea. I would ask you all to consider this and pass it.
Anytime you take an inmate outside the walls of the jail, most vulnerable times.
Well, I'm sure it is. when you said equipment, I didn't know what kind of equipment it was. That's the only reason I
It's just a
asked.
secure video.
Okay.
All right, did we have a motion and a second on this already?
Yes, Marty.
Posted.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Next, gentlemen, if you were able to look at the information from A&M Consultants, they submitted a quote to issue an employee survey. It'd be $7,800, and the purpose of the survey would be kind of a few items that I've been in discussion with. And do most of y'all know Misty Edwards?
Yeah.
Of course, she's part of A&M Consultants, and that's who I've been talking with. And so it would be, one thing would be like to rank the things that are important to our employees, like in the order of importance to you individually as an employee, whether it be pay, work environment, time off and vacation, retirement, your health insurance. Like if you had like 5 or 6 things, what's most important to you as an employee? We get an idea of that. Maybe get an idea of, do you clearly understand the task that you're required to do? And then, do you feel like you have the training to do? Do you feel like you have the tools to do? And in talking with Misty, she was very cautious about, was we really sure we wanted to do it? Because if you do the survey, and let's just say that we get back that most of the employees say, we don't have the tools to do what we need to do. Well, are we willing then to say, well, exactly what tools do you need, and can we provide them?
I think we would, I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, you know,
I
y'all-
couldn't say yes right now because I don't know what those tools are, so I mean.
Yeah, but y'all have heard me say this a number of times, our people are our most valuable assets.
Yeah.
We collect tax money to provide services to the community, and we provide those services through our people. And the better equipped and the better trained they are, the better they're gonna do, and the better they feel about their workplace, you know. No, I don't know anyone, we talked about this in my office some, and I may be wrong. I mean, there may be somebody that just can't hardly sleep at night with excitement thinking about, I want to get up and go to work tomorrow. But, you know, most people by nature, they're like, oh gosh, we got to go to work. I mean, nobody really like enjoys having to go to work. But if you don't enjoy your job or what you're doing, or you feel like I'm not really equipped to do what they're asking me to do, it makes it a little worse.
Are all these things gonna be anonymous? I mean.
It'll all be internet-based, like they'll email out the survey, and it will go directly back to A&M consultants, and we will have no idea who has answered which questionnaire.
So they won't be broken down in age groups, and I mean, they'll be absolutely.
Well, no, it will, they can break it down, like, one of the things that, I mean, I think is interesting, and I think this would be interesting to find out. So let's say you have your employees that have been here, say, less than 5 years. We could find out, like, in the thing about order of importance, like whether it's pay, time off, you know, benefits, retirement, we could find out with what I call younger employees, the ones who've been here less time, like what's actually more important to them. Then we could find out in groupings. I mean, we won't know who the people are. We'll just know that in this age group, here was what was most important to them. In this particular age group, here was what was more important to them. I mean, I say age group, I'm talking about time of service groups.
Is it broken down in department? Are we gonna know what department it come from, or is it just?
They will, all the questionnaires will go out anonymously. And they will compile the information. We as a court and the county government will get the results of the survey, but we won't have names or anything tied to the
So if
survey.
they're not, if what you're saying is just say they're not tied to, like it's going out anonymously and it's not tied to each department. But if somebody comes back and says we need tools to do our job, how do we know which department we need to do? What tools
If we
to do?
want, that was a question, I asked that very question of them. If we want to know by department, they can code the surveys as they send them to departments, and they will have that code, and they could let us know that by code.
I think we would need to know that, because like Jeff said, one department, you wouldn't know if one
Yeah.
department is saying they need better tools, another department is saying they need more training. We don't know what.
Yeah.
we
So
would know
they do have the
department.
ability to code that if we choose
I mean,
to.
we pretty much will have to do that because we would not be able to address.
A particular issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So, yeah, if we don't want, yeah, I mean, so yes, we can do that by code according to Misty and the guy that will be helping her with it.
I've taken a few of these,
Yeah,
and,
like Dunham filled them out at your
oh,
workplace?
yeah, oh, yeah. And you say it's anonymous, and then if you go to this department and it's somebody between 60 and 65, well, I'm the only one in there 60 to 65, you're
Well-
gonna kind of know.
Yeah, well, we won't ask anyone's age. We would just,
But years of service. So if you keep it as anonymous as you can, people will be more honest as how they answer.
And
Because if they think that you're going to be able to figure out who it is, you know, they may fluff it up a little bit.
And that's the reason I brought up the idea of hiring a firm to do it, because if any one of us go and ask, or they're gonna tell us what they, sometimes they'll say what they think we want to hear
Right.
instead of
Right.
how they actually feel.
of course, like Misty's question to me in all this conversation, because I think Michelle and I had one conversation with them, and then I've had two other conversations with them on this. And her point, and she keeps bringing this point out, is, you know, do you really want to know? I mean, you know, that's the question. Do you really want to know? And my honest answer is, yes, if the employees will be completely honest with what they think, then yeah, I want to know, because if you honestly feel like you don't have the tools to do what we're asking you to do, I'd like to know it. I would like to know, and then I'd like to know what is exactly you think you need. And is it, and then the other question would be, well, is it practical? It's kind of like one of those situations where we could get the results and we could do everything we can to address and acknowledge whatever we find, with the understanding of we may not be able to fix absolutely every single thing.
We won't.
Yeah.
Well, we're limited on what the manager's going to hear. I'm not aware we're having problems, but are we having problems? You're a county judge executive, you're going to hear probably more so than any of us will. Are we having problems?
We have some turnover. We have some pay discrepancies. I mean, we're going to talk about administrative code changes here in a minute. That will hopefully address a few of the issues that I think we're having. You know, I mean, most department heads, I think, will come to me and say, hey, we really need this or that. But, you know, there may be things that their employees are saying to the department heads, and the department head may be thinking, and I'm not saying any of them are doing this, I don't know, are saying, well, you know what, the court's never going to go for that. I'm not even going to bring it up. I mean, I don't know. And I mean, it's a fairly, I mean, it's not crazy high, but I mean, there's some cost. You see the cost associated with it, $7,800.
And we didn't budget that.
Well, we didn't budget it. I mean, it'll just have to be pulled from reserve if we do it.
Well, I've been quiet because this is more a political decision than a legal one, but the lady in question is correct. If you find out stuff, you're probably going to have to make a good faith effort to address issues that are brought out. And if you don't, that's why she kept asking, do you want to know?
Right.
Because once you know, you're probably going to have to do something. And by that, I means either stuff you don't want to do or stuff that's going to cost money. And I'm not trying to tell you not to do it. What I am telling you is, if you really want to find out, you need to be prepared to do something about it.
And that's the thing, I think. I mean, I don't necessarily talk with all of you guys every single day. I mean, you know, but I think all of you guys, I can tell you this, I've been on some of the trainings with Misty the last few weeks too. So I do want to say thank you to all four of y'all, because when I hear what's going on in some of these other counties, I think, good Lord, we're in pretty darn good shape. I mean, honestly.
That's what I hear when I go to my meetings.
But I mean, my point to that is, I think all of you guys want to take care, I mean, one, I think you do want to take care of the county, just the overall well-being and welfare of the county. And I think you all understand that we do that with the people that we have working for the county. And I think all of you want to make sure that they are equipped and able to do that job. But in reality and practicality, it's like we can't, I mean, there could be some things that we just say, you know what, I understand that, but we're not able to do that, but we can do this. And I mean, so that's the question to you guys is, it's $7,800. Do we want to find out? And do we have a willingness to try to correct or fix as many things as we can? If we find, you know, hopefully, we will find out that really the majority of what's going on is really pretty good. But this ball's in y'all's court. I've found out and presented information, and I see what Misty's saying, but I also think it could be beneficial to us.
I think that's the reason I brought it up. I think it could be beneficial. But I don't know how I'll make a motion that we do it.
So we got a motion by Marty that we authorize A&M Consultants to put together the survey and authorize, I guess, the judge to sign any contracts that will be necessary. I will say this too, they will develop the questions and let us review them before we agree to send it out to the.
Could we not get that information before we vote? I mean, we need to really think this out. I don't really have a problem, but could we get that information? Could we get a mock?
Sample, like
So we kind of,
I'm not going to say yay or nay. I'm going to say I
Okay.
don't know, and I'll answer it like this. If my business, if my firm was a consulting firm, and I'm drafting you questions, and then I'm going to revise or revamp those questions based on your input back to me, I might not want to draft you any questions unless I'm kind of assured that I'm going to get a job. I mean,
that's true.
you know, you're in that business. You go give somebody, $1,000 worth of advice, and then they call somebody else to do the job, or they don't do it. So I mean,
Based on the
I
information.
don't mind to ask her that question, but
Based on what you give us today, I mean, I'd really like to absorb this, and I might not necessarily be able to think through all of it today. But that was the reason I asked. It could be
Also,
something generic. It could be something generic.
What's also the issue of some of their stuff what they may consider to be proprietarial, and they don't want to start handing stuff out
I
without.
understand that.
Okay,
but-
that makes
without-
sense.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, what I know about Misty, and we all take, I mean, I believe they would do a fantastic job.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
I just think if we could do something, if we found out one or two pieces of information that could make the county employee system not, overall better, it would be worth it. But that's my opinion.
well, I'm definitely not opposed to it. I just need a second if we want to proceed and get a draft of the questions. And
I'm not against it. I just
Yeah.
need a little bit more time to think.
And I mean, I'm fine. I'll second it. I'm not opposed to it. I think it can be worthwhile. So I'll second it. Any other question, discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next is if you had an opportunity to review the employee benefits, and I guess here Sam, we'll need to do this in two motions because this is one, an agreement with Anthem on the Anthem benefits, and then an agreement with McGregor on the secondary benefits for McGregor. So this will be, we need a motion to approve the benefits and rates with Anthem and authorize the county judge to sign those documents with Anthem.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Then I would need a motion and a second to authorize the agreement with McGregor to provide the secondary insurance for the employee benefit plan.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott, and that's also to authorize the judge
Yeah,
to sign
yeah.
those documents. Second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. The next two are pretty simple and easy. When you put out bids for services and you only get one, you either take it or you do without.
I have a question about
Yes.
these other benefits that were, like we have, are we going to continue all other benefits, like the air evac, I guess that's the main one, the dental?
Well, the dental's tied to the Anthem health insurance, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's Delta Dental.
Oh,
Delta
the
Dental.
Okay, so maybe we need to back up and do the Delta Dental and the air evac. Just to be safe, let's do that. Or can we do a motion and a second to authorize to continue all of the current insurance plans offered to employees?
I think just for clarity's sake, I think you need to do one for air evac and one for Delta Dental,
Okay.
just
All
for
right.
clarity's sake.
All right. So we need a motion and a second to continue with the Delta Dental plan and authorize the judge to sign any necessary papers.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Jeffrey, a second by Marty. All in favor, aye?
I'm going to abstain on that one.
Aye, okay. Nicole, you were saying something and I missed it or couldn't hear.
Well, I mean, I don't recall ever separating it out before.
I didn't know
Because we do have a couple more, I mean, that we do, but I mean, did she provide you all with a list? She had it on the portal, I didn't look at what it was, but
Well, let's see.
let me see.
There is Anthem,
Yeah,
there is McGregor,
there's the, it's like,
still McGregor there.
Delta Dental was on
Iron
there
Man.
in the packet.
Well,
And
there-
Back was too. So I think you're just approving everything as a whole with the health benefits.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that's how we had done
Yeah.
it previous years. It's just we approved the health benefit package for the employees.
That
It's all on there.
It all,
They
that's
offer,
what I
yeah.
thought we had done in years past. Do you say
Slips,
nay,
yes.
Counselor?
Well, I'm just saying, you asked, and I prefer to go with clarity as opposed to, that way if someone looks,
The other two being, Anthem and McGregor.
and I'm not disputing it's how it was done in the past, but as I recall, I was not asked in the past, so that's why I gave the answer I did. I'm not trying to,
So just to be on the safe side, do we need to move to do the air evac too? We just did the dental?
Well, we just done the dental, we had a motion and a second, it carried, so let's just have a motion to,
it carried,
it carried
with
4 to 1 abstention.
one abstention.
To do what?
For the Delta Dental.
So much.
No, this is for air evac. now.
Air evac.
We got a motion to authorize the participation in the air evac and authorize the judge to sign it by Marty.
Second.
And a second by Myron. All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that was as clear as muddy water.
Indeed.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, so back to the asphalt and rock bids. Like I said, it's pretty easy. You either take what we get or you do without. The asphalt, or the first was the asphalt bid by Scotty's, and you see the prices quoted per ton and so on and so forth with Scotty's. We just need a motion and a second to accept the bid from Scotty's on the asphalt work.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott,
Second.
second by Myron. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And then next is the rock bids. The only bidder we had was Heidelberg, which is Hanson Aggregate. I mean, do they still go by Hanson Aggregates or it's Heidelberg now? That's the only bid we received. So we need a motion and a second to approve that bid.
So moved, Mason.
Motion by Myron, second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion? The next one's going to bring up another little
Need
bit of
to
a
take a-
question. Oh, that's right. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
I forgot to forget that part. Any opposed? That motion carries. Counselor, to my defense, at this point in time, we're usually done with the meeting, but we still got a lot of stuff to drag out.
Understood.
All right. The next one's going to bring up a little bit of a discussion, because this is, y'all remember, we've authorized the Kenny Perry Bridge project, and the engineers are working on it. It's been slow as molasses in the middle of winter, but they have finally gotten plans together to put it out to bid for the actual work, correct? Well, I guess I mistakenly thought that when we approved this project, we approved everything associated with it, but apparently we did not. So what we have to do today is authorize the engineering firm, or authorize the county to put out bids through the engineering firm for the actual work on the bridge, to actually perform the task.
I thought that's what we normally do. We approved the engineer firm to draw the plans up. Now we will go and approve them to put it out for bid
Yeah,
after they get to it. So they finally got all their permits and everything.
finally,
All right,
ready for bid.
so move.
All right, we got a motion by Marty to authorize the bids for the Kenny Perry Bridge project.
Second.
Second by Myron. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, next is some information that Bobby has submitted. This is the possibility of setting and posting speed limits. This is predominantly or primarily in higher residential areas outside the city, in the county, outside the city limits. It was kind of ironic yesterday, we got a call from an individual out on Craft Road that was wanting to know if they could have a speed limit set and posted. So, Bobby, do you want to address any of this or just?
Well, I have something I'd like to follow up with. I want to do that now. And I can tell you why I made the list.
Okay, let's get that information and then.
The purpose for the list you have is just for us to be uniform, because after I started looking, I found some streets which we would kind of classify as neighborhoods. I found a couple where one street has a speed limit that's been approved and another street that doesn't, side by side. So I went through what are more residential areas, we would say, just to try to get something uniform so we have it on record.
So in the county, if we have a street that does not have an approved posted speed limit, what is the?
The state actually has speed limits they're suggested. What they call if you're classified as a residential street, I think it's 35 or 45. If you're on an undivided highway that has no postings, it's 55.
I told Bobby we should set a few of them at like 90, just put the speed limit 90, and everybody would drive by and say, 90? What? And then they'd really slow down thinking everybody was driving crazy.
I have a couple.
I'm afraid I'm in court every week, and
You don't think that'd fly? Or you think it really would fly?
I'm just saying, I see people who would like take advantage of it. Let's just put it that way.
Could we add roads to this?
Well, obviously what we've done or what's been happening, I guess since I've been here, I don't know how it happened before. If someone requested a speed limit on a road, typically we would do so by the suggestion of the magistrate in that district. Because if the magistrate feels like that the people in that district are wanting a speed limit posted on the road, I'm going to agree with you. I don't, because that's up to you guys.
I'd like to make a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
After you deal with these right here, that's one of my follow-up. I'd like to
Okay.
talk to you about.
So I guess really the question at hand at this moment is, because if I'm hearing what you're saying, like out here on the south end of town, like Honeysuckle may be posted, but Hawthorne may not be.
Now, those streets are on our current list, but off of Broadway.
Right.
Autumn Lane and
Whispering Hill, 1 and 2.
Some that are, some that aren't, on the right side of the
Yeah.
So
They are very congested. I mean, I'm good with this.
So that's the question, because these are going to be in the more densely populated county roads. I guess there'd be areas along Broadway, Huntington Park, and all that's out through there. Country Club Estates.
Country Club Estates had one that wasn't, and one that was.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get a uniform, that's all I was doing.
Okay. So do we have anybody willing to make a motion and second that we get the highly populated, denser areas of the county roads with uniform posted speed limits?
So move.
Got a motion by Marty.
Second.
Second by Scott. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, follow up.
Follow up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, may I ask something? Are we still going to come back, though, and set these by ordinance as is required?
Okay.
What you do is you probably need to,
An ordinance needs to be,
I would,
all-inclusive, because it's expensive, the advertising and everything
We
to,
could do that at the next meeting.
well,
Yeah,
what you would need to do is you would get a list of the roads and
We-
the proposed speed limits.
yeah, we've got the list.
Well, I think Marty asked about, can we add something to it? And so I'm just saying, you want to make sure you.
Yes, if we have any other roads that need to be added other than what's on this list, it'd be beneficial to get them on if we're going to do the ordinance. Absolutely.
So, yeah, you're going to need, make sure, I mean, and hopefully you can get them together so you can have them ready for the next meeting, but I would use the expression, get your cobs together before you go to the outhouse. You need to, I haven't done one in a while, so I thought I'd use one, but.
I'm waiting for you.
Sorry you asked, aren't you?
But the point being is you need to get all your roads together before you do this, and you make sure you have everything you need.
Sam, I have one question for you. Approximately how many of those do you have stored away? Thousands?
I honestly do not know.
Okay, all right, just checking.
I never stopped to count.
All right, yes, sir.
Here's my suggestion. A couple weeks ago, in a 24-hour period, I had 4 contacts with people about speed limits or some type of speed control in 4 different areas of Panther County. 2 of them, I pretty quickly said, we just don't do that. The other 2 have legitimate concerns, one of which I actually thought about doing something myself before they were contacted. But my suggestion would be, if you all are willing to do this, I don't mind putting some legwork in this, I've already started, but we need to compile some type of guidelines to do some of these things. In other words, if you want to set a speed limit, it has to come to court, but somebody needs to go through the process and not just call them and say, I want a 45-mile speed limit in front of my house because that's what I want. There needs to be some kind of investigation into it, some kind of guidelines. The two of the calls that I had that was concerned, that I'm actually concerned about, were, one was asking for, well, both of them asked for speed bumps.
No.
And I said, I'm not a fan of speed bumps, I'm not a fan of speed humps, I'm not a fan of speed tables, I'm not a fan of guardrails, I'm not a fan of putting up a lot of signs. But, there goes the but. There are areas, cities and counties that have some guidelines if you want to do that, and they're pretty strict. So it's just not, you just don't open that. Was a call I had for some type of speed control, which I totally agree with. Actually, there's 2 of them, because I think it's dangerous spots. So I don't mind putting something together, put some guidelines, and we can include where you put stop signs, where you can put speed limits, I mean, have some kind of.
Based off the number of houses on the road or that kind of information.
A lot of them are, basically, a lot of them just turn it over to either your county engineer, or a road engineer, or a company, or a group somehow to look at them and make a recommendation. Just when you get through all the ordinance ones. So, and I don't mind doing some of that work, but I just don't want to, if we're going to say, if you want to say no to any kind of speed control device, you let me know, and I'll just tell them to go to court and y'all can answer questions. I'm really just saying that, but we're going to have some areas, the intersection of Toomer and Schweizer. We've got 4 stop signs, 2 stop head signs painted on the road and rumble strips. We still have access there. So I've looked into some larger rumble strips. I've looked into renting some paint equipment that where we can put something on the roads.
There's plenty of paint out there.
Well, it's not the right place.
Oh, okay.
But I mean,
Not the right wording.
there's limited options we have. But I mean, I don't mind doing that. But I just want to say that once you open those doors of things, just like the rumble strips or speed, once you open that door, you've opened the door.
Once you go for one,
And I see what you're saying, and I
Be
agree
careful
with you.
be careful what walks through.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying and agree with you. If we're going to go down that road, so to speak, then we probably need to have some pretty rigid guidelines. So when someone says, well, you got it over here, we can show to them, well, that's because over here meets all of this criteria. What you're asking for doesn't meet any of this criteria. I'm all right with taking a look at it.
Yeah.
I don't mind putting something together, I just don't want to push it on this, I'm going to spend the time.
Sheriff, are you wanting to address this, or you just stretching?
I was gonna say one brief thing, quick comment. Bobby's the expert in that stuff. We can do what we call some extra patrols, we can do some sitting in still locations, but that's just limited, it doesn't stop the problem. There is a piece of equipment that for years would be nice to have had, so it runs me about $5,000 if you want to buy one. But you see these trailers that show your speed. We don't have one because they're about $5,000. If we had one, we would use it when we start getting a lot of speed complaints. It at least is an eye opener for people coming down that road about how fast they're going. And the speed limit signs are a great thing. Realize most of your county, not trying to get them out there or not, but most of your county roads are 55. You can't drive 55 on most of your county roads, but they're actually not breaking the speed. They're not speeding, so it's hard to stop somebody giving a speed ticket if it's a 55 zone and they're running 45, which is still looking way too fast for that road. Turner Ford Road, I live on it, you can drive it safely at about 35 miles an hour. The speed limit will be 55. And there's no way you can drive down Turner Ford Road at 55 for a wreck.
I say get the information and let us take a look at it. I mean, here again, it goes back to, I've said it over and over again, public safety is our primary responsibility. This is part of that. So I'm understanding we had a motion and a second to accept this speed limit list we were given. It will have to be incorporated into
An ordinance.
Do we have, you guys would need to think of, has anyone contacted you about other roads that you're willing to suggest a speed limit on to be incorporated in this next ordinance?
I got 3.
You have 3? And,
Henson Road,
okay,
well, actually it'd be 4. Henson Road, Craft Road, Johns Loop Road, and Hack Brown Road.
I mean, I guess when we've set these speed, because we've set speed limits on roads since I've been here. We've done every one of those by ordinance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But had we typically made because typically the magistrate would make a motion to set those limits on the roads, and then we'll second it, approve it, and then we'll draft the ordinance.
I think all of them should be no more than 45. I mean,
Henson has speed limit on it.
Henson does?
Yeah, there's sign on it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not objecting anything, I'm just saying though, that I
Oh,
tell
yeah, I
people,
see it here.
the only good a sign does on the road is it makes that person happy to ask for it,
Right.
because nobody else pays attention to it.
Right.
I mean, so you got Henson's there, so three roads,
On the 45.
the motion? All right, so Marty's got a motion. What were the roads again?
Hack Brown, Craft, and Johns Loop.
Okay.
Okay, may I ask, are we just doing this, like, that we're approving these, and then we're gonna group them with the previous motion for the list that we have?
Yes.
And have one ordinance
Yes.
addressed? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, maybe because we've been talking so much, did we actually have a vote on the motion that Marty and Scott did about originally setting
The
the?
list?
Yes.
It was all ayes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making
But
sure
then
I'm.
after that was when I questioned about the ordinance.
Okay,
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah. So Marty's got a motion on the 3 roads that he just mentioned to set a speed limit at 45.
Now, down in the future, if we need to add more roads,
We can do it, it'll
Yeah.
just be, we'll have to do it, we'll have to update the ordinance.
right, yeah.
Okay, was there a second on that?
No, haven't had a second
Okay,
yet.
I'm sorry.
No, we only have the motion by Marty on the 3 additional
Okay.
roads.
Second.
Got a second now by Myron. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, now next, if the reviewing the administrative code revisions, it would be done by ordinance, and if we move forward with this, it would be ordinance number 230.30. And so you see 3 different items there. Every suggested change is highlighted in yellow, and you would note that the IT cybersecurity is all highlighted in yellow. That's because currently it's non-existent, but it's the ordinance that or not ordinance, but the code that we're working on to put, basically it's an entire chapter to itself for the admin code that will make CAECO happy that we have it in our administrative code to continue coverage for cyber security threats and so on.
This will be voted on separately.
No, the administrative code is all by ordinance, so any change, it would all be in there. So I mean, if there's discussion points or questions, we need to talk about those, but what you see highlighted in yellow are the suggested changes to what we currently have in the admin code.
I know you got administrative code, IT, they'll all be done under one motion.
Yes, because it'll all be under an ordinance for the administrative code. It's all set by ordinance. Because see, if y'all recall back in, I think it was sometime maybe in 2019 or early 2020, we made a few changes in the admin code, and that was by ordinance. So any changes we make in the admin code all have to be done by ordinance.
So moved.
But they can't be separated. Each section can't be voted on separately, like the cyber separately, this other one separately.
Sure you can if you want.
Yep. You can. I mean, you can vote on however you want.
And you can do it, you can break it down section by section if you want.
That's what I was asking.
But you got Marty, you made a motion to accept.
So what I was asking was, why I'm asking this is because the one section, we're talking about the status of employment, is that the same one I put on the table back
Months ago?
months ago?
Yes, is the short
And I haven't
answer.
took it off the table yet?
It's not, yeah, it's still on the table till somebody
What?
takes it off.
And that was what?
For this, for the,
The status of employment, basically you had wanted to change, well, I won't speak for you.
Yeah, speak again, because I don't recall it.
because back in, you asked for, I guess that was in February, March, you wanted to do a change, admin code change, and I tabled that discussion.
Because you hadn't read the administrative code.
But as I recall,
That was on response to something, and we was gonna look it up, and I was gonna do more research, and then I think you even changed the wording on part of it at that time. So it never did get brought back up, never did whatever till now.
and
I've
basically,
never untabled it since it was tabled.
that's correct. As I recall, you wanted more time to research it because I think your words are you were new to the fiscal court.
Fiscal court.
And so everybody agreed it was tabled. Procedurally, it has to be motion and a second and a affirmative vote to take off the table, and you can vote it up or down at that point. But I mean, that portion of it was brought up and it was voted to be tabled.
So this part here can't be voted on until it is untabled, right?
It's not supposed to be, no.
Have you been here long enough to take it off the table yet?
Hadn't been brought up till now. And I don't know if I want to take it off the table yet or not.
Well,
Now, just because you made the motion, that ain't your motion from then on. Anybody can move to bring
No,
up.
it's got to
Bring
be
a
the
subject off
one,
the
it's
table.
got to be the one that made the table motion to take it off the table,
If
right,
the court-
Sam?
the
Or can
court-
anybody do it?
According to the Robert's Rule of Meetings, the court approved to put it on the table, the court can approve to take it off the table. The same magistrate don't have to make the motion.
I know for motions to reconsider, someone has to be on the prevailing side to make the motion originally. As far as tabling the motion is concerned, I think what you have to have is, once again, I don't think it has to be the person who tabled the motion. It has to be someone who is on the prevailing side. Now,
Well, everyone voted to table it. Everyone voted in the affirmative to table it.
So I guess my question is, it sounds like there's some issues here with the actual proposed changes. Maybe, if I might make a respectful suggestion, it might be you all need to maybe address the underlying issue that I'm seeing, because we're talking procedures, but I think the reason we're talking procedures is because I perceive there may be some disharmony as to the substance of what some of this is saying, and maybe that needs to be worked out before you start talking what's procedurally correct or not. But that's just a respectful suggestion.
So you're saying the first thing we need is a motion to untable the action to discuss it. And anyone that voted in the affirmative for that can make that motion.
That is correct.
All right, I'll make a motion to take this off the table. Got a second. I made the motion and Marty seconded. Any question or discussion?
Do I need to specify what we're taking off the table?
Yes.
I guess discussion for section 3.13 of the administrative code.
Well, actually what it needs to be is you're going to have to go back, was it the 1st of February? I forgot which meeting it was, and reference the specific, I can't talk this morning, item that was tabled in that meeting, and then that's what's taken off the table. So I mean,
My motion is to untable whatever we specifically tabled back in February that no one in here can remember, and no one in here, I guess, has done any homework on. But my motion is to take that off the table so we can have a discussion like adults in this room today.
well, with respect, Judge, that's what the minutes are for. If we look back in the minutes, we can probably find out.
And I can tell you that in 13 years of government, I have seen a lot of things tabled, and I have never had one individual say, when we have that discussion in a future meeting, that it had to be untabled. It's the first I've ever heard in my life.
Well, he had, for SROs tabled it, and he had to have it untabled.
We never did, we have never made a vote to untable a motion of any kind.
Yep.
Man, I've had, probably should have, though.
Maybe, I don't know.
He asked the question and
All
I
right.
answered the question.
We got a motion to untable it, and we got a second. Any other question or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so now, let's just, since we're at where we're at with it, let me just go through it here line by line and make everybody happy, hopefully. The suggested changes will be in an entire new chapter, Chapter 8, Information Technology and Security, and you can read those, Section 8.1 all the way through whatever it goes to, 8.15 or something of that nature. Let me get to the last one. 8.14. It's an entire section over cybersecurity and internet protocol, and this is information compiled by Adam that has been requested by KCO to be a part of our administrative code if we choose to continue having cybersecurity coverage. We're going to have to implement it into our admin code. The other changes that are suggested is in section 3.13 in paragraph A to add the word temporary, because right now we currently have 3 designations of employees, full-time, part-time, and seasonal. The other suggestion is to add temporary, and technically we've done that when we hired Kenneth Utley, but we didn't have a designation for that. So you could read the change there would be a temporary employee is an employee who is brought in to work on a specific task for a defined time period. So it wouldn't be a seasonal employee that's being hired every season to do something. This could be an employee that's hired temporarily just to do one specific task and then brought back. But it also makes some changes about that full-time employees may be paid an hourly rate or an annual salary. Part-time employees will be paid an hourly rate. Seasonal employees paid an hourly rate, and the temporary employee paid by an hourly rate set by the fiscal court. Under section 3.13, paragraph D also reads that no county employee, full or part-time, shall be employed by an outside vendor or supplier of goods and or services to the county department or office within which they work. And then the other suggested change is section 3.45. The word, what you see highlighted in yellow, is a change from what we currently have. Currently it says maternity leave. This says parental leave, because while we have 6 weeks of maternity leave without the mother bearing the child having to use time off, we don't have anything for the father of that child. And so the two suggested changes that I have to the code there is to allow 2 weeks of paid paternity leave to a full-time employee upon the birth of their child, or that would be paragraph B under section 3.45, and then paragraph C under section 3.45 to allow 2 weeks of paid parental leave granted to any full-time employee upon the adoption of a child. So now I guess we can pare down and drill down and talk about the things you like or don't like. I don't feel like, and I have requests. Well, the one change on the admin code, on the IT,
We have no choice.
I don't have any choice. The other things on the employee side of it are things that I just think are practical, common sense items that need to be employed in the administrative code, because the thing about the admin code is this. It is our guidebook to deal with employees. And while you guys have a role and a responsibility to do what you do for the constituents in your district, I'm the one that is elected to sit up here and deal with the employees in county departments day in and day out. I see the things and I know the things that become issues with the staff that deals with. I mean, you have to understand that in my office, we deal with the employee issues from every department. We deal with all of the financial aspects of every department. We deal with all of the health and insurance and benefit aspects of every department. We deal with the invoices and the PO numbers for every department. I mean, everything that's done in every department has to come through my office. And unfortunately, while I do believe our employees are our greatest asset, it is also our biggest challenge. And so when you don't have things clearly defined in the admin code, then it's left up to interpretation or decisions, and I would rather have things clearly defined. It's kind of like Bobby talking about the speed limits. Let's have some clear parameters to what we do. Let's clearly define it. I just think these are common sense changes that need to be implemented into the admin code.
And now that it's off the table, I'll still make the motion.
Well, may I, I'm begging the court's pardon, just Pam, I'm looking at the minutes from the January 17th, 23 meeting, and there was a motion by Burr, second by Poston, to take the agenda number 8 administrative code amendment, or table it until the 21st meeting. It was never followed through on the 21st, so when you make reference to taking off the table, it was done on the meeting of January 17th of this year. So you specifically know what's being taken off the table, just to clarify the record. Well, you said you don't know when. That's what the minutes are for.
Yeah, I couldn't have told you when.
And I will comment that the tabling thing has been loosely done and not, I don't think, always followed up on.
That's correct.
I don't think it, I can tell you, in the 8 years I was on the city commission and 4.5 years here on this fiscal court, I've seen multiple items tabled. I have never seen or heard of a vote to take them off the table. I'm all well and good with it. Doesn't really matter.
But
Just
if an item's tabled to like the next meeting,
yeah, if it's
and it don't get brought off, it's brought off automatically.
I would think so. As I said, it was tabled to the next meeting. I would think it's done after that next meeting. If you
Not by Robert's rule.
well, the vote was that it was tabled until a certain date. That
It's
date's
still on the table till it's brought back up again.
Not unless you move to do it, table it in.
It doesn't matter now, it's off the table.
It's off the it's off the table now,
It's
let's
off
move
the
on.
Obviously, stuff gets lost, though.
Yes, it's off the table now. Here are the suggested changes. I believe they're all common sense changes, and we either need to have a discussion or have a motion and a second and a vote, or whatever we need to do. It's,
Mason, on section 3.13, paragraph D,
Mhm.
you and I had a conversation a few months back. I don't know the individuals, that part doesn't matter to me. But if we do have some individuals that fall under that category, I think I expressed with you, I think not the position, but the person needs to be grandfathered in. You and I had a discussion about that. So, and I still think that's the right thing to do, but not the position, but the individual. So if that individual leaves, it goes away. And we don't have any, just to ask the question, we don't have any part-time salary people in
yes, we do.
So that's not listed up here in the status of employment,
No,
part-time salary.
no.
Doesn't it need to be?
Do I think it needs to be?
I mean, we got four, this is it, four?
I don't have any way out.
We have full-time hourly, and we have full-time salary.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it
part-time
says in here, it says here though, all part-time will be paid an hourly rate. But we do have some part-time salary, correct? Or do we?
Only one that I'm aware of.
So my question is, does that need to be integrated into this?
Looks like you would put that, like your full-time, you got hourly rate or annual salary, and then the part-time, looks like you'd have that
Well, the
out.
question is, and I've had this discussion, we talked about this. I wasn't here when we hired someone part-time on a salary. I would never agree to hire anyone part-time on a salary. If you're doing part-time services, it should either be an hourly rate or a contracted service. Part-time salaries, it makes no sense to me.
But it's going to kind of go against what we've, concerning our budget here. We've got a part-time salary in our budget, but in our admit code, we don't have that.
It's not the person being discussed, you're not being involved in this conversation.
You can briefly be involved, and we will have very little discussion. And I want to say before you start talking, everything that gets discussed, everyone starts taking it personally. This isn't personal. This is business and common sense.
Basically, when somebody says something in person, it's like saying it's not about the money, it is. But we do have only one salary, part-time employee, because this court mandated that we do it with our drivers for the SCORE program, our teachers for the SCORE program, and people like that, because we were not covering them under insurance when they were contracted employees. That's all I got to say.
Well, they were all contracted, and I believe they all should still be contracted.
This court voted to make them employees.
Because exactly what happens is we have a part-time salaried position that is paid equal to and greater than a lot of full-time positions. Makes no sense.
I'm not going to disagree, but the court has voted on that budget. It already had first reading of that budget, it's in there. That was the question I had when I was
You
reading it.
didn't vote for the budget.
I didn't vote, but that don't.
I mean, I'm just saying.
That doesn't matter, I'm going to do my best to help with that budget, but it's in that budget.
Yeah.
So we're saying two different things here.
Well, this has nothing to do with the budget. This has to do with what makes sense personnel-wise in the administrative code. And if the only change is you want to be able to pay part-time employees an hourly rate or by salary, I mean, if that's what we got to do to get this done, I guess we get it done, because technically we have someone there in that position.
Right.
I would, it makes no sense to me, I would have never approved it.
But on A, where you have it all listed, would you not put salary out there also? Full-time, part-time, seasonal, temporary, or all employees? And because you got an annual salary under full-time, and I think it should be under part-time too, since we have one.
Well, I mean, I guess technically we could change section D to an E and just put section D as that all employees will either be paid on an hourly rate or salary as set by fiscal court. Instead of having that line on each thing, you follow what I'm saying? Like.
Would you do that as E, or would you just do it on A and have it line 5?
We could do A line 5, just says that all positions will be paid either by hourly rate or salary as set by fiscal court. You follow what I'm saying?
I do, but I mean.
The highlighted areas on sections 1 and 2
Right.
and 3, just remove those. And then the last half of section 4, where it says and paid an hourly rate set by fiscal court, just have number 5 under there that says all positions shall be paid by an hourly rate or salary as set by fiscal court.
Well, that's saying the same thing as if you just added.
You could, but I
Yeah.
think the thing to do would just be add the one line blanket for all
For full-time, part-time.
for all four classifications.
So then how do we address D? Just, we don't?
My thing is, we either think that this is necessary, you know, we had a training, and I don't think any of you guys were on it. We had a training just a few weeks ago on the importance and role of the administrative code. And everybody was talking about the different things in their administrative code, and I mentioned that we're going to have to bring up some changes. And I said, one of the things is we have some employees that are working for vendors that we do business with, and the first comment by a magistrate, I don't know who he was or what county he was, well, that's a doggone conflict of interest. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, but I hate to chastise those people that don't have, we're getting caught up in politics and.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I don't know that the administrative code is going to have a grandfather clause, because the administrative code is either the code as written or it's not.
You're looking at me.
I am looking at you, because I look at somebody that's smarter than I am about this.
It's been my experience, whether it's a case cited by a court, trial court, appellate court, I've seen it in statutes, I think grandfather clauses are pretty well universal. I don't think there's anything magical about an administrative code that says you can't have a grandfather clause in it. But I'm not saying you have to have one necessarily, but I don't think it precludes having a grandfather clause. So I'm not saying you have to have one. I'm just saying if you want one, you can put one in. It's not magically precluded. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. It's strictly up to the decision of this body.
I made the motion last year, and I was told could be considered political about this. I still feel I felt it has been wrong for years. And I said, I will make this motion today to do that, with the changes on the hourly and the salary conditions they wanted to put in there.
So
But I
why hadn't
don't
this been brought up 16, you've been on it 16 years?
It's been brought up several times.
Has it?
Mhm.
Over the 16 years, but it never has been in,
It's never
Been-
been put in
been added.
administrative code.
We probably hadn't had an issue, I'm figuring.
Hmm.
I said we probably hadn't had an issue, or in the past hadn't had an issue with it.
That's why things get changed. So you've got the motion.
So the motion on the table is to accept the administrative code changes with the exception of
Number 5.
adding line number 5 to incorporate that all 4 employment statuses be paid either a salary or hourly rate as set by the fiscal court.
Absolutely.
Is that clear to all of you?
The pay part.
The pay part.
I think so. I mean, that's,
Basically what you would do, if you take line number 1, what's highlighted in yellow on line number 1, which simply reads, these employees may be paid at an hourly rate or annual salary,
Right.
that would be removed from line number 1.
okay.
What's highlighted in line number 2 there would be removed. What's highlighted in line number 3 there would be removed. And then in line number 4, it reads, temporary employee, an employee who is brought in to work on a specific task for a defined time period, would be a period there, and the rest of that phrase would be removed. And then line number 5 would just say, all 4 of these employment statuses will be paid an hourly rate or salary as set by fiscal court.
I'm good with that.
Is that what that's your motion?
I guess the only problem I have with D is those folks that might affect. Or they, and I don't know how many there are, I don't know if any other departments have people that do this. I mean, I don't want to, their livelihood, it's just hard to take that away.
So Myron, particularly you were talking about the 2 employees that are employed.
Well, I don't really know who they are, or I don't even know how many.
I guess you would say the ones that are employed now would be grandfathered, but it follows the person. If they left, that position becomes like this. That makes sense?
Yeah, I get it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I wouldn't vote for that.
Well,
because I think it's just, and I've used this analogy. Nicole may beat me up when I get done. We buy a lot of office equipment and supplies from Barron County Business Supplies. Nicole is the one that typically processes and procures those orders. If Nicole were to become a sales rep at Barron County Business Supply, that would be an awkward, and even if she were currently, which she is not, but if she were currently and we were buying from them, it just doesn't look right. Here's the thing, everything can be just as legitimate can be, but the appearance of it can be very bad. And I just feel I just feel like in county government, we need to avoid those type of appearance, because there's already a great public distrust of government as it is.
well, that's why I suggested those people. Of course, if they leave, not the position, but the people. When they leave, they leave. We've got maybe not necessarily Simpson County vendors, but we have other vendors that requires county services. And they get paid for those services.
Help me a little bit.
Well, the sheriff and I have had conversations where Scotty's may be paving out here on I-65.
Yeah.
They will ask for a sheriff's service, and they will pay the sheriff, deputies, or whoever. I realize they're not a direct vendor to Simpson County.
Yeah, and this reads that you will not be able to be employed by a vendor or supplier of goods and/or services to the county department or office within which they work.
I understand that, Mason, but, you know, and I'm glad the JED is able to offer that service, because it's needed. But those are Simpson County cars out, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But that service wouldn't be affected by this,
I get that.
because the sheriff's department doesn't do any transactions with Scotty's.
They pay directly to the sheriff's deputies?
Yeah, but I'm
But
saying,
I don't contract with Scott.
Yeah, I understand that.
Now, the county might,
yeah,
the sheriff's office.
yeah.
For road work, that's all goes
Yeah.
to Bobby.
But they pay the sheriff's department direct, right?
Do what?
They pay the sheriff's department for that, right? Or do they pay
deputies.
they pay the deputies?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it doesn't cost the county anything.
Right.
And the point being too, Myron, those sheriff's deputies, the sheriff's office, the office of Sheriff Jerry D. Hobson does not contract or utilize the services of Scotty's Contracting.
I understand that. But still, those deputies are paid by a vendor.
Yeah.
That the county uses.
So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not necessary, Mason. I just don't like to pull the rug, the livelihood out from under people. It's just like when the state of Kentucky adopted the electrical license, they had the grandfather. You can't pull the rug out from people. You can't do that. And that's all I'm saying is that we leased ought to grandfather those people in. Now, like, if they're at the jail, we approve the daggone. I think these people may be paid by KOL Foods. We're the one that approves the KOL Food bids. The jail don't approve that. We do it. And I'm not aware, I mean, maybe we've had problems that I'm not even aware of. Like I said earlier, you're going to hear about it way before I will. But I'm just saying is, I don't think that's, I just hate to pull a rug out on somebody.
So so you're in favor of this if we'll exempt the two employees?
Whoever that it is, and that grandfather will go with those people. So if those people leave the jail, that grandfather don't stay with the position. It just goes with, it just belongs to that person.
To the two individuals employed
If
by
they leave,
KOL?
then, you
Whether
know,
it's 2, 3, 4, I mean, I don't think it matters, the number, it's just whoever's doing that right now.
and if they leave, then you know, then I hate to
Whoever-
say it, but there won't be any way that, because of our admit code, but there won't be no way that they can have people working for a vendor.
Basically, whoever is impacted would be impacted now when you change the code is who would be grandfathered. And my understanding is, once those people separated service,
My question is that an understood rule or a written rule? Because, and I mean, I'm asking that because I don't know that it needs to be written in the admin code in that manner.
I'm not saying you put it in the admin code. What I am saying is, no, I'm certainly not, I'm not advocating that, Judge.
Okay.
I'm just saying, what my understanding and the way a grandfather clause works is, Myron is right, it's like a conditional use permit in planning and zoning. It's to that person, not the property or the job description. And so, once whoever is impacted by it now leaves county service, and even if they come back, 3 weeks later, it doesn't matter, they're out of luck. So, when they separate, the grandfather clause lapses, and they're just like everybody else, and everybody else after them is, for what it's worth, as I said, I'm the lawyer, not the politician part of it, but I think the IT stuff is a no-brainer. It has to be done. I think you're right as far as the proposed changes. I'm not going to speak as to the pay. That's strictly a you-all issue. But as far as the position there, I think that needs to be done. I agree. It does present a potential appearance of a conflict of interest. So I think that in the long run, that is absolutely the right move to make.
Let me ask you, if this is passed without grandfather being written on it, then it's not grandfather.
I think
Once it's passed and
what
it's
you
in
would,
writing,
what I would respectfully
That's what it is.
suggest is that you have a separate motion saying, you know, the people impacted by this change in the administrative code are hereby grandfathered in. That way it's in the minutes, it's not in the administrative code, so people like me can pull up the pad and look back and see if they're covered or not. But I mean, I agree with Mason, it's not, I don't think it needs to be written in the admin code, but if you're wanting to grandfather, I think you have a separate motion indicate notwithstanding the adopt amendment to the administrative code, anyone currently, you know, impacted
Would
by.
you have to
So
have a
here's-
list
here-
of those people?
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
would you have to have the names of those people?
I don't think you'll have to name them by name.
Well,
I don't think you
no,
would,
just said it
you
here.
wouldn't, but I'm just saying, people impacted by the change to paragraph, whatever it is,
Paragraph D.
D,
Yeah.
then they are hereby grandfathered
So
in.
currently, we have a motion to approve these suggested changes to the admin code with one change, as we discussed, to section 3.13, paragraph A. It would be the removal of portions of paragraphs 1, 2, 3, 4, and add a paragraph number 5 to talk about hourly rate and salary as set by the fiscal court. So we have that motion on the table. Unless we have a motion, unless we get a second and vote on it, there's no reason to vote for a grandfather clause.
I agree.
That's true, that's true.
You're right, absolutely.
So we have a motion by Marty.
I don't think I have that, so go with me.
I made the motion.
Yeah, Marty's made the motion.
That's correct.
And we need a second.
And this was to what?
This is
Maybe I
to
should wait and see if
approve,
we
this
can
is to
second.
approve the changes to the admin code.
Including the IT and.
Include, yeah, section 3.13, paragraph A, subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to be added. Paragraph D, and then section 3.45 to add paragraph B and C.
And change it to parental leave.
And change from maternity leave to parental leave as the title to section 3.45. And then to completely add chapter 8, which will read, let's scroll all the way back to the top of this. Chapter 8, information technology / cybersecurity. All right, so we have a motion by Marty. Now I will make the second. And since this is done by ordinance, this is only first reading, it won't pass until we have the second reading. And I will have the amended language that we discussed today for you to read before we have second reading, where we're removing those sections in 1, 2, 3, and 4 and adding section 5.
And not section D. This is just
No,
that.
D is part of it here.
Okay.
So we have a motion. I will second it.
Ready for roll call?
We're ready for a roll call, and understanding that if this motion doesn't pass, then the whole discussion about grandfathering anything doesn't matter.
But there will be, not in the code,
It'll be by motion.
but it'll be by motion to grandfather the people. in.
Section D, paragraph D.
I got you.
Say it again, Mason.
All right, so currently, Nicole, we're not making a minute and a half out of any of these. Nicole warned me with as many things as we had on the agenda, they had to get through in a minute and a half, and we're not going to make it. The motion and the second on the admin code is to add section 8, which is the cybersecurity and IT. It's an entirely new chapter to the admin code. Also, to make changes to section 3.13 that talks about status of employment. In paragraph A, we will add the word temporary. Paragraph 1, there will be no changes. Paragraph 2, no changes. Paragraph 3, no changes. Now, you currently see highlighted changes, and what you're looking at, those highlighted changes will be removed. Paragraph 4 will be added to read temporary employee. An employee who is brought in to work on a specific task for a defined time period with a period there. The rest of that sentence in paragraph 4 will be removed, and paragraph 5 will be added that will state that all employment statuses will be paid an hourly rate or salary as set or determined by the fiscal court. Paragraph D will remain. Then in personnel, section 3.45, the word maternity will be changed to parental, and paragraphs B and C will be added. We have a motion by Marty, and I made the second. We would do a roll call.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes,
Yes.
Myron Thurman,
No.
Scott Poston,
Yes.
Jeffrey Burke,
No.
All right. So that motion passed, and we will have a second reading, and all those changes that we'll highlight, they'll all be in there to see about that. Now, if there's any discussion about grandfathering, that'll need to be brought up.
So I think we should grandfather those.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got a motion by Myron to grandfather any employees that may currently be affected by the addition of paragraph D, section 3.13, paragraph D. I have a motion by Myron.
Second.
A second by Scott. All in favor, aye. All opposed?
No.
I'm opposed.
3-2.
Yeah, 3-2, that one carries. Lord, it's been a fun day. Now, the next one is a little different from what we've done in years past, because this next item is typically incorporated in all the language with the Justice Center, but for some reason they wanted it pulled out and defined specifically for drug court. So we need a motion and a second to authorize the lease agreement with drug court and authorize the judge to sign it. Now, previously, the lease with the drug court has all been incorporated with all of our agreements with the AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts. For some reason, they want the lease for the drug court separated. The terms and conditions and everything about it is all identical to what was in the big overall deal with AOC. They just want a specific lease agreement for the drug court.
Is it because it's in a separate building, or is it in the same building?
No, it's in a separate building.
Is it a separate
It
building?
is in a separate building.
So is that, I mean,
I could be the reason they want it done that way.
That's the only thing that I see.
Yeah.
that's what I wondered, it since
They
it was,
did some work over there and added a bunch of high-dollar equipment and stuff, so.
that's why I wonder if it being a separate building, maybe, yeah.
But I mean, all the everything about the terms are the same. It's just now going to be kind of its own little standalone agreement instead of being incorporated in the agreement with the office.
Have they already got parking spaces marked off? It's just something
Myron
jumped out
and
at me.
Jeffrey.
I heard Myron and Jeffrey.
Have they already got parking spaces marked off?
Over there.
Yeah. Okay. It just jumped out at me. I didn't know if they had them or not.
Yeah. All right, so we got a motion by Myron to authorize the lease agreement and authorize the judge to sign it. We got a second by Jeffrey. Any question or discussion?
is the agreement with AOC for drug court? I don't have.
Yes, I believe it is an agreement with AOC for the drug court building lease.
God bless you today, Pam.
When's our next meeting? How long do I have?
We have a little while.
This ain't no holidays, nothing to keep you.
All right, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Whew. All right, If you had an opportunity to review the budget transfers, we need a motion and a second to authorize those transfers.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. Any question or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Next is to approve the cash transfer of $4,622.91 from the federal grant fund to the general fund.
I'll move.
So moved.
Got a motion by Scott, second by Jeffrey. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next, bills and claims. If you had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Got a motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Scott. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now, this wasn't originally on the agenda Friday when the agenda list was sent out, but Nicole busted through it and got it done yesterday, and it was put on your portal yesterday. The May 31st financial statement, we need a motion and a second to approve that financial statement, subject to audit, and authorize the county treasurer and the county judge to sign it.
So moved.
Got a motion by Marty,
Second.
second by Jeffrey. Any question, discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, on to reports. And one, I apologize for not bringing this up here. If y'all want to stop down in my office and take a look at this, you can. We'll find a place to display it at some point. But the AMVETS dropped off a patriotism award to the Fiscal Corps for flying the flag out front. It's a nice little thing. I meant to bring it up here. I hadn't hung it up anywhere because I meant to bring it up here so y'all could see it today. Stop down in the office, you can see it. We'll find a nice place to hang it up. But that was, I called and thanked them for bringing it. That was really nice of them. Another thing, you've seen it on your portal. It's no discussion item. It's just information only. Just want to point it out to you that Triple N Land Farms have filed to extend their permit to December 4th, 2028. And the way this reads, if you read that, what's on the portal, any citizen that wants to bring a challenge or a question to it has until some point later in June to submit a question or about it. One thing that the legislature did do, if y'all recall, this was in our last administrative code change when they made the bid threshold not having to solicit bids up to 20,000, they raised it to 30,000. But if y'all recall in our admin code, we made the change to agree that we would abide by whatever threshold the legislature set according to KRS, whatever that KRS is. It's all listed in the, so that they recently made another change. That threshold is now $40,000, or will be $40,000 effective July 1st.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know really what they've done because what was $30,000 6 months ago now costs $40,000. So I don't know that they really moved it much. They just changed the number.
Yeah, you couldn't even buy a vehicle at the $20,000 threshold.
Right. And
Or
then
40,000.
we can put this off till our next meeting, or we can take it up now, or we can see if we want to ask the city, do y'all want to help participate? But just, you don't have any really thoughts or opinions on the ladies that presented the Kids on the Block presentation? And basically their request was for $2,700 to be able to do 6 more programs, but
The school district, they're not,
evidently they don't pay.
They don't have the money.
Apparently
They don't have the money, they're broke.
They're broke, don't have the money.
I don't really have a problem doing it. I just hate that we had to fund, the
Do
city.
y'all want me to see if the city would split it with us? I mean, basically it'd be $1,350 a piece.
well, could you also ask the school
Yeah.
district, see if they'll participate in that?
Just do a three-way split.
If you
Yeah.
don't mind.
Do y'all, I mean, I'm serious
I'm serious about that,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
mind to ask
Yeah.
any to participate. I'll send out an
Sure,
email.
it's got to be
Yeah.
$900.
Wouldn't hurt for them to have some skin in the game.
Yeah, I'll send out an email and see. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem helping to fund that program. I mean, you know, the one little kid, they talked about the one little kid that come up afterward. If you help one kid.
That's right.
I mean, you know, there's no, all right.
It seemed like they're getting positive results out of it.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But I'll send out an email to see, I'll let them know, hey, here's what was presented at our court meeting today, here's the cost, but y'all did not, we'll see. See what you say. Marty, you have anything?
I was just gonna, I seen Bob was gone. Do you know, has he said anything about building a place for the life jackets out there? I noticed it hadn't been built.
I haven't asked him. I'll follow up, find out.
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Jeffrey? Scott?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Meyer? Counselor?
I'm just going to say, there's another old saying, so I'm cracking them out today. Lovers of the law and sausage should not see the one being made, and I want to compliment you all's efforts to hash through stuff today. I know it can get kind of tedious, but I want to compliment you guys on your efforts today.
Well, thank you. And not to belabor that point, but talking to y'all about, hey, you know, we may not always completely agree, and we may not always see completely eye to eye on everything, but I do think we keep it pretty professional, and we all get along, and we all really want the same ultimate outcome, which is the county to do better. But, I mean, we was on that training, and Misty was talking about how one newly elected judge sent a letter to the court saying that there would be no more discussion in a court meeting. It would be a motion and a second and a vote, and if they didn't get a second, the motion would die, and if they had any question or discussion, they could come and talk to him before. And I'm like, I think that guy needs to go to that Open Meetings Act training and figure out how that all really works.
He wouldn't like my opinion.
Huh?
He would not like my opinion.
I think he's going to be in court a lot.
Yeah, you know, so yes, when I hear what's going on in other places, we're doing pretty well here. So, yeah. Sheriff, anything?
No report, sir.
Anything with the jail?
Just, we expect $238,000 for Class D, so the code doesn't get it now.
Good deal.
Chief, anything with fire department?
No report.
Bill, anything with maintenance? Bobby, I know you got something, come on.
He looked like
Yeah, he couldn't wait to get up there.
he's wanting to get out of here.
He'd been wanting to jump out of that seat.
Y'all's favorite subject. Mosquito season. I've had a couple of questions about some mosquito spraying, and I had a discussion with one of you all, there was a discussion about bees and honeybees and the danger of that. So last week I had the state inspector that does our area call me. We just, in conversation, we did talk about the bees. He said that is a concern for us to address about mosquito spraying. But in a roundabout way, we had a pretty honest discussion about many wrongdoings, but this is Sam's.
How about-
Our licensing, which we have 5 employees have that, it is classified as right-of-way spraying, which covers everything we do on the right-of-way. His comment was, I'm not looking for trouble, but if somebody reports you, this came up in the big conversation. If you're off the right-of-way, there's going to be
A problem.
and it will go to the applicant that holds that license.
Oh, my.
So I'm not putting my guys in any position, you know where our policy's been? Our policy starts next week, we're not getting off right away. So that's probably going to have a lot of people upset with us, but that's what we're doing. I'm fine with that. My question to you all is, I think you really need to think about how far we want to carry this program, because we spend about $8,000 a year on what we do.
So no driving around people's houses or no?
Backing up the driveway.
Driveways.
Literally, we would.
Uh-huh.
Well, better not say it's on camera.
No,
I thought they
I
could
would
do it
strongly
now.
exercise the right to remain silent.
Oh, okay.
Have you started at the park yet?
That's what brought the whole conversation up. He said a lot of counties are in trouble because of their park systems, because you have to have an environmental license. But our park roads are actually on our county road system, so we're covered there.
Yeah, if the park road weren't on the county road system, we could be in trouble for spraying that.
That and the schools is what actually brought the subject up.
Well, I guess this brings up another question.
Well, the
If that-
schools, in that case, maybe
If
they
that
need to do their own
liability goes
spraying.
back directly to that employee, does CAECO cover that?
I don't know.
I don't know the
Would you
answer.
mind?
They might,
We'll check and see.
I don't
they
do
might
anything
under a
else.
reservation of rights.
If you said that falls back on, the liability falls back
Basically,
on that
we'll-
employee.
we'll-
I said,
we'll
does
wait on
CAECO
the
cover that?
Really, no.
Well, I mean, I don't know, I know what you're
Yeah,
asking.
I'll check and find out, but I think what Bobby's suggestion is, and I tend to agree with that, is let's just not put our applicators in a position to even be in
Well,
trouble.
that's true.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Right.
But what if
If there's something else happens.
if they drive by, you're in the county road, and I can think of
And
one.
you get to a dead end, and you gotta turn
No,
around.
you don't get to a dead end, but there's a guy that's got beehives over here beside the road.
Yeah,
And then he says, your mosquito spray killed my bees.
I'll find out.
That's what Robert.
I don't want somebody, I don't want to put,
You
the
know-
guys will be in the right, but they can still be,
You know, out our way where we have the Jefferson raising pumpkins and watermelons, about hundreds of acres, it's not uncommon to see these beehives right there
On the road.
on the road.
Somebody
right?
said they bring them in just for that.
That's what they're
They
bringing in
do.
for, yes.
They do, yeah.
Yes.
Hit pumpkins and watermelon.
I just don't do
My
anything.
point is my guys are gonna abide by the license like they always have.
Exactly.
Exactly.
But I'm just gonna say that, I just think you might need to think about what you wanna do in the future.
I think the question is, if we can't, if all we can do is drive up and down the county road,
I don't even know why we'd do that.
how effective are we gonna be, and do we wanna continue spending?
How much did you say we spent?
8,000 or so a year.
It's not gonna be very effective.
Almost
just-
as much as we spend on road signs for people stealing road signs.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, we lose $8,000 to $10,000 a year in people stealing road signs.
Oh, me.
And we got enough spray to get us how far right now, you think?
We have about 40 gallon, and maybe a third a year.
Why don't y'all roll it around in your noggins, and we'll bring us up at the next meeting to see, do we want to continue doing the program?
I'm gonna say probably not.
Well, the gentleman state told me that there are several counties that this last year, this year, have stopped.
And I sent out a questionnaire to the Judge Executive Association to see if any other counties have stopped doing mosquito spraying because of either environmental or cost. And the only reply back so far has been, the one county said, we've never done it to begin with. So,
Well, does the city
the city
spray?
sprays.
So do they spray the park also with y'all, or do we just, we're the only one to do?
I don't mind spraying off on bees. I'd rather do that rather than not eat. We gotta have these bees to pollinate. We have to have.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
problem is, you don't have very many people who got bees.
No.
Everybody's got mosquitoes.
true.
And I'm telling you, if you cancel this service,
They're gonna be up and on.
you better get your phone ready. You better
Yeah,
have your phone ready.
but
kidding.
just
Yeah, I
driving
got a
down
bunch.
the highway, I mean, you know, they, like Bobby said, they're used to people backing the drives and whatnot.
Our machine is outdated, you can't get parts for it. It's 25 years old, I mean, it still operates fine.
Well, let's roll this around in our heads, and we'll just put it on as an agenda item at the next meeting to discuss.
Have they got any other kind of mosquito
back
spray
on this
that's
winter.
what we use, it's safer or anything, or just that one?
Put it back on this winter.
You can call pest control people.
People won't care.
I didn't know if they-
Put it in the
Don't
first
have a
week,
license, let it go.
first week of January.
Okay,
You know.
all right, all right, well, it's been fun, y'all, we need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Got a motion by
Second.
Marty, second by Jeffrey, all in favor, aye. Any opposed?
I hope